Ajinkya Rahane is back in the Indian Test team. The Indian Cricket Board named a 15-member squad to face Australia in the final of the World Test Championship, which is at the Oval and it begins on June 7th. Rahane was dropped in January 2022 and since then has had a decent domestic season and is having a stellar IPL season. Is his selection justified? That's what we are going to discuss in this live. Hello and welcome to WION Sports Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur and I'm joined by my colleague Vidur Kathuria and Shibashish Nandin. So how do you look at this move by the Indian Cricket Board? Is it right to recall Rahane?
I think they've gone for the safe option because Shreyas Iyer and Rishabh Pant are not available. So they went for the most experienced option when it comes to middle order batting. Having said that, you can't help but think that his IPL form has got something to do with it, even though the IPL and Test cricket are poles apart. There is no relation in between the two formats. But I think that given the fact that India are struggling in terms of their middle order and they didn't perform all that well in the Border Gavaskar series as well, I think it's a safe option. And if we had to pick a 15-member team for India, probably before today, we would have gone for the same one.
What's your take?
Yes, I absolutely agree with him. That's a very safe option. It's not just about IPL. He scored something around 700 odd runs in the Ranji Trophy.
Yeah.
There were, one double century and one in the 190.
191.
Yeah, so that must have helped him get his spot back. But yeah, if not Ajinkya Rahane, then who else?
So, as you said, who else? So, we're getting a lot of questions who are saying that Sarfaraz Khan, who has been constantly performing well in the Ranji season, not just this, in the last two seasons, he has been performing. His average is above 100 and something. So, a lot of people are saying that why not Sarfaraz Khan?
I think that is something that the selectors and BCCI have to answer. But I think what they will say is that, or rather what the perspective is now in Indian cricket is that the Ranji Trophy does not really matter when it comes to selection in the Indian team. I think that sort of narrative has been playing out for a long time. I think the IPL, regardless of whether it's red ball cricket or white ball cricket, it takes precedence over the other domestic cricket in India because of its visibility and because of the quality of opponents and the international level of the IPL. I think that somewhere plays a part when the selectors pick a team for any format.
Okay. But don't you think that's setting a wrong precedent because, players, as you said, IPL and T20 cricket and Test cricket are two different formats. And then players would just concentrate on the IPL and would not play domestic season.
It is unfortunate, especially for those who have been scoring in the Ranji Trophy for a very, very long time. Like we said, Sarfaraz Khan. So Sarfaraz Khan must be asking, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to come into the Indian Test team? Because all he can do is score runs in the Ranji Trophy, which he has been doing century after century, century after century. The same can be said for many other players. Mayank Agarwal. And Mayank Agarwal, in fact, had to wait a long time. Even before he came into the Indian team, he was scoring loads of runs in the Ranji Trophy. But probably the argument that the BCCI will use is something that I mentioned before, is how high is the quality of the Ranji Trophy when it comes to any format. When it comes to sort of equating it with international cricket. I think that will be the difference.
So it's a one-off test. Do you think BCCI is looking Rahane selection as like just for this test, or are they thinking, long-term that Rahane is back in the mix, or they think that, it's a big match, India has never won a World Test Championship?
Rahane can't be a long-term, but what I want to say is Sarfaraz Khan, why he didn't get picked, because I know Ranji Trophy and IPL, they can't be compared. But in the IPL, whenever he faced an international bowler, he struggled.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And in England, against those steaming conditions, and if overcast and against Anderson and abroad, betting on a young player, uncapped player will be too much.
But I get your point. Look, you're saying it's a high stakes match, getting a debutant would be difficult. But shouldn't BCCI have done this before? Like, they could have gotten him in the Australia series or against Sri Lanka. They could have gotten him, given him a game, and then probably you would have an option to pick, Sarfaraz or Rahane. So in hindsight, BCCI could have given him a chance, and then all these people were saying, Sarfaraz should be picked. They could have gotten some data to, pick the better batsman.
Yeah, but if you look at the BCCI's decisions over the past few years, even their choice of captaincy, their choice of picking a vice captain or removing a vice captain,
Or Vijay Shankar.
yeah, so they always the idea that the players try to give us and the board try to give us is that they're thinking long term. But when you think about these decisions, it's very much related or made to counter the current problem, the immediate problem of, say, playing the World Test Championship final. I mean, to be fair, you're not going to, when you pick a side for like a title crash like this, you're not really thinking about who will do well like 6 months from now or 1 year from now. Your idea is to tackle the immediate problem. But of course, it can pay off and it can't. Who would have thought that Rahane would have, played like this in the IPL? Now, whether he plays or doesn't play is another question altogether. But overall, I think it's a safe squad that India has picked. But having said that, we also have to discuss Suryakumar Yadav's exclusion.
One match, and then is it the end of the road or what? Like,
I think even his ODI credentials have come into question after that. He's not having. He of course scored runs in the last match, but the world's T20I batter, he's not looking like that recently. So I don't think it's the end of the road for him. I think he will get few chances, especially domestic in India's home series. But again, I think it would have been a huge surprise if Suryakumar Yadav would have been picked in the squad.
will he be so? BCCI have picked him. Do you think he's a sure shot for the playing 11, or he may sit out even after being selected? Because you have KS Bharat. Will KL Rahul play as a wicketkeeper?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. I mean,
KS Bharat is probably the only recognized wicketkeeper in the squad.
And you have KL Rahul as your reserve.
But KL Rahul, he hasn't.
I mean, he has to open as well. I mean, if he opens and then
Or
I mean,
Gill. Shubman Gill. So let's look at the playing 11.
I think KL Rahul. The question is, KL Rahul hasn't kept for a very long time.
Yeah.
And his
KS Bharat has not
spot,
scored runs.
his spot. So KS Bharat is obviously. He's a proper out and out wicketkeeper. KL Rahul hasn't done that for a long time. His spot in the 11 is not confirmed. KL Rahul.
Yeah.
Because I think Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill will open the batting.
Pujara at third.
Pujara at 3, Kohli at 4. Then, of course, you have Rahane or Rahul. Those are your options. Then KS Bharat. I think India will go with 2 spinners. Or
So Jadeja the sure shot that he's going to play.
Jadeja.
Between Ashwin and
Ashwin, as we recall, last time he didn't play a single test in England. Yeah. But it's the Oval is actually historically a turning track in relatively when you look at other
compared to
pitches
other
in England.
England, yeah.
So it's a turning track. So India could go with 2 spinners. Then I think Akshar Patel will find it hard to get into the lineup. 11. So Pacers, I think Shami and Siraj are going to be there. It's going to be that for that third spot between
Umesh and Shardul.
Jaydev Unadkat, I think it's unlikely that he'll get playing time. But yeah, Shardul or Umesh, it completely depends on what India want to go for. Obviously, Shardul, is a wicket-taking bowler, and of course, he's a much better batter than Umesh Yadav. He's an all-rounder. He's a bowling all-rounder.
Yeah.
So I think closer to the game, India will play one warm-up match.
Yeah, that is going to be crucial.
Yes,
I think.
last time India, New Zealand, I remember in the last World Test Championship final, they had just come on the back of a series win against England, whereas India had just played one match against a domestic team. So India have to get that right this time around.
And it would be a huge task for India because I think for the first time since 2018, this was the first time when India would be playing an overseas test without Bumrah or Rishabh Pant? Like,
Yeah, Bumrah will of course be a huge miss. I think earlier India were targeting getting him fit for the WTC final. Obviously, that's India then decided that he would have surgery, and now everything is now in terms of Bumrah and his comeback is all focused on the ODI World Cup. So big miss Bumrah, Rishabh Pant as well. Hopefully Rishabh Pant can also come back soon. But Rishabh Pant and Jasprit Bumrah, two big misses for India in such a big match.
so do we have any questions? What do you think, viewers? Who is Rahane selection justified? You can share in your comments on our Twitter page and on our Facebook page. So yeah, let's take the results of our poll. Is Ajinkya Rahane selection justified?
Wow.
57% is...
No.
Oh, 79% is saying yes.
Yes.
31 is no. I mean,
They believe in Rahane, but he has done all he can since he was taken out of the squad. And of course, the IPL, he has been absolutely stellar and proven that he's still got it. He's got that ability. And of course, under the captaincy of Dhoni, he has flourished. So, yes, full marks to Rahane, and hopefully it pays off for India in the WTC final.
Yeah. So, and what do we have on our show at 6:30 p.m. IST? I see a fourth manager in a year at Chelsea.
In Chelsea? Well, yes, of course, Tottenham have sacked their interim manager, Stellini, after that humiliating defeat at Newcastle. I didn't see it coming, to be honest, because how many games are left in the season. But I think just the nature of the defeat, it just, with the fans, it doesn't sit well at all. And Daniel Levy, who's the chairman, just decided that
that was
it
a very
can't go
strong
on.
statement from Daniel.
Yes, it can't go on any further. And to be honest with you, he was also like under Conte, so he was Conte's assistant. So the feelings that Conte had, I mean, obviously he was part of his backroom staff. So Conte did not obviously leave on good terms, and so has Stellini also hasn't left on very good
So
terms.
Tottenham are without a manager. Chelsea hopefully will get Mauricio Pochettino.
Yes, they are in advanced talks with him. It will be obviously it's a good appointment for Chelsea because he has experience in the Premier League. But
But
you
he
never
would
know.
manage big egos at PSG.
You never know with Chelsea. He could be gone after 3 months, after
Yeah.
2 months, even if he's appointed in June. So I think the manager, of course, he has struggled. Like at PSG, he didn't do well with Messi, Mbappe. In fact, he didn't win the league.
Yeah.
It was the first time after a long time they didn't win the league. But yeah, in terms of the managers who are available, I think it's a good one for Chelsea.
Decent choice.
Yeah.
Chelsea. Yeah, so what else? What else do we
And
have?
in the NBA,
LeBron James has. Actually, it doesn't even feel right to say that he's rolled back the years
Yeah.
because he just keeps doing it. He's 38 years old, and he was agitated by this player called Dylan Brooks in Memphis Grizzlies in the last match, but that doesn't work. So he had 20 rebounds and 20 assists in the win, and Lakers are now just one win away from a spot in the second round.
So yeah, that and much more on our show. Thanks for tuning in.